Hello, Chukila. Hey, Jill. Hey, Elise.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Suzette. Welcome, everyone.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in the practice tonight. Get ready for the very precious teachings by Geshe Gelek. We can reflect on this holy day, Chokra Duchen.
Jill. Hey, Elise.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Suzette. Welcome, everyone.
Hello. Thank you.
All right, so we can set our own personal notification for doing the practice today. Let's see. And now I'll share the screen. Start with the refuge in bodhicitta prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Now the short mandala offering is ground anointed with perfume. Strewn with flowers adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. Imagine this is the Buddha field and offering. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. O holy and perfect pure Lama, From the clouds of compassion that form in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Idam Guru Ratamandalakam Niryatayami. Okay, now I'm going to stop sharing and we'll begin the reading, which is day 8, and it's a section titled The Limb of Rejoicing, and it's the first full paragraph. If you're using the PDF file. As it states, rejoicing does not require hardships of body and speech. If you mentally project an excellent intention, you create the merits of others and obtain greater merit as well. If we are more highly developed and rejoice in someone lower, we obtain greater roots of virtue. If they are equal, we obtain equal roots of virtue. If we are lower and we rejoice in someone higher, like a bodhisattva, we definitely obtain a portion of their roots of virtue. There is nothing superior to rejoicing for accumulating merit. J. Kuntam Champayang Rinpoche stated, quote, if someone is going to create virtue while lying down, he or she should meditate on rejoicing in others, unquote. There's also a system of acquiring roots of virtue similar to the previous explanation found in the Golden Rosary and other scriptures, which state that if the object of reliance is higher, then you obtain lesser power, and also if the degree of your rejoicing determines the power you obtain. Meditate with joy, without jealousy or competitiveness, and rejoice in virtues performed by others. This is, for example, similar to the extreme joy that a mother develops when her child performs a noble deed. Thus, you obtain a great force of virtuous roots through rejoicing, as related in the story of the beggar. A person with very little mental capacity can obtain powerful roots of virtue through this wondrous method, which is the main practice of the bodhisattvas. There are 2 types of Shravakas, trainees and non-trainees. The non-trainees are Shravaka Arhats. For the most part, Pratyeka Buddhists actualize all 5 paths in one life. However, they are not called Pratyeka Buddha learners when they don't actualize the remaining paths beyond the path of preparation in one life. Although we pretend to be Mahayanists these days, although they may be on the path of accumulation of Shravaka, people still make proclamations such as, I am a Buddha. Next, from the teacher until your guru, rejoice in their deeds by considering what type of body the venerable guru has and so on. The way to rejoice in the roots of virtue of persons who have entered the path is revealed in the phrase, the merit of all living beings. The phrase, the mouth of my guru, refers to oral instructions. At this point, you take a different perspective in rejoicing and practice rejoicing in your own virtue. In the same way, practice rejoicing in the virtue of others, the virtue of both self and others, the virtues of your former lives as well, the virtues of this life, and the roots of virtue performed in previous years. The Sutra of the 10 Dharmas states, quote, no smoke from fire, likewise no water from water birds. Know those endowed with the mind of a bodhisattva from the pure signs of their lineage, unquote. Likewise, you obtain this physical form through previously guarding your moral discipline and so forth. Rejoice in this by contemplating these indications of previous virtue. From this moment onward, you must not be misled. The precious human body you have currently obtained is from a precious rebirth in a former life. Do not let the precious picture of this moment throw you into an abyss in your future life. Rejoicing in the virtues of others is a practice employed exclusively by bodhisattvas. For instance, the father of a household carries the responsibility of providing sustenance for many people in his household by feeding and clothing them. Then, if one of the children is able to provide his own food and clothing, the father will be delighted in his actions and think of his great kindness. Likewise, although bodhisattvas carry the sole responsibility of liberating all living beings from samsara, when living beings practice virtue from their own side, the bodhisattvas are especially delighted and rejoice. The limb of requesting them to turn the wheel of Dharma. The 5th limb is requesting the objects of refuge to turn the wheel of Dharma. Regarding the wheel, Vasubandhu's Treasury of Abhidhamma states, quote, there are 2 aspects of the teacher's holy Dharma, and these are the nature of scripture and realization, unquote. From the point when the teacher turned the wheel of Dharma, scripture, and realization up until the time of your guru, it has been turned by such successive person in the lineage. Moreover, the teaching of scripture consists of explaining them and comprehending through listening and contemplation. The teaching of realization consists of accomplishing them and comprehending them through practice. Quote, that act of comprehension is only through speaking and practicing, unquote. Moreover, according to the well-known metaphor, an official, a king, and so forth, should preserve the teachings of the Buddha through influence and power. Turning the wheel of Dharma of realization also depends upon turning the wheel of Dharma of scripture. Whether or not the Lama turns the wheel of Dharma depends upon the disciples requesting him to do so through supplications. It is not like the doctor from the region of Po, carrying a bag of medicine and traveling from door to door, inquiring whether anyone in the household is ill. The teacher arrived in the world for the sake of turning the wheel of Dharma. However, a sutra states, quote, these beings had faith in Brahma, and when he made the supplication, the wheel of Dharma was turned, unquote. Thus, until Brahma made the supplication, the wheel of Dharma was not turned. The same thing applies to us as well. Therefore, you should make supplications to whomever exists in the 10 directions and so forth. Although the preliminary prayer states the aspect of enlightenment, if you have a mandala, should arrange 9 heaps, 4 in the cardinal directions, 4 in the intermediate directions, and 1 in the center, after which you imagine it becoming a golden wheel with 1,000 spokes. The best would be to imagine that you invoke each and every Buddha in the 10 directions and emanate an equal number of images of yourself in the aspect of Brahma, who entreat the Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma. If you do it in this way, it creates a very important auspiciousness, so that you will not be bereft of Dharma in the future. If your mind can't manage such a complicated visualization, invoke each being in the field of merit. If even that is too much, simply imagine the field of merit as it is. The limb of making supplications not to pass into nirvana. The 6th limb is to make supplications to the objects of refuge, requesting them not to pass into nirvana. It is extremely important that you also make supplications to your guru, requesting him or her not to pass into nirvana. The Sutra of Golden Light states, the Buddha does not pass into nirvana, nor does the Dharma vanish. Yet for the sake of thoroughly liberating beings, he demonstrates a thorough passing into nirvana. In general, although it is best if the Guru and Buddhas do not pass into nirvana and the Dharma does not disappear, they sometimes reveal the manner of passing into nirvana and the disappearance of the Dharma for the welfare of disciples. The teacher said the same thing to Ananda 3 times. The Guru and Buddhas not passing into nirvana depends upon the disciple making requests for them to remain. Thus, when you make supplications, it becomes the supreme means of accomplishing your own longevity. At this point, if you have a mandala, you should again place 5 heaps on it, 4 in the cardinal directions and 1 in the center, and imagine that they become a lion throne. Furthermore, invoke each being from the field of merit and so forth, and emanate as many bodies as you are mentally capable of after offering the lion thrones as a supplication. This reveals the way of obtaining 8 great benefits from this practice. Even though the beings in the field of merit remain silent at this point, or when supplicating them to turn the wheel of Dharma, you should nevertheless imagine that each one accepts your request. Master Tultrim Kyang composed a commentary on some of the detailed points of the Vinaya, in which he stated that the term remain silent indicates that to give verbal permission is a sign of being an ordinary being. Therefore, the perfect and complete Buddha and the Shravakas give permission by remaining silent. The limb of dedication. The 7th limb is dedication. If you don't seal the dedication with emptiness, your roots of virtue will be destroyed through anger. Chandrakirti's Guide to the Middle Way states, quote, therefore, through becoming angry with the conqueror's sons, you instantly destroy the virtues accumulated in 100 eons through generosity and discipline. Therefore, there is no negativity greater than impatience, unquote. Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life states, quote, all the good deeds such as generosity and worshiping the Sugatas accumulated over 1,000 eons are destroyed by a moment's anger, unquote. When a person of inferior merit becomes angry with someone of superior merit, he or she destroys the virtue of 1,000 eons. When one of inferior merit becomes angry with another person of inferior merit, he destroys the roots of merit of 100 eons. Considering how the force of the superiority or inferiority of the object of reliance determines the amount of virtue destroyed, you should investigate the way in which merit is destroyed if they are equal to each other. Some people perform noble actions that don't dedicate them, and when they get angry, as explained above, they exhaust their merit so that it has no opportunity to bear fruit. Some people make dedications of merit for mere happiness in a future life, and that is therefore the only result. Some dedicate merit for merely attaining the state of a Hinayana Arhat, and so their merit is exhausted upon attaining the sphere of nirvana without remainder. When they dedicate their merit for unexcelled, complete enlightenment, however, it cannot be destroyed by anger and so forth, and will not be exhausted until the attainment of enlightenment. The sutra requested by Sagaramati states, quote, just as a drop of water that falls into a great ocean will not run out until the ocean is exhausted, so the virtue dedicated as the cause of enlightenment is not exhausted until the attainment of enlightenment, unquote. Some scholars say that this verse doesn't exist in that sutra and that the verse exists in inexhaustible wisdom and is therefore incorrect. However, it is cited in Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stages of the path and others. Although it couldn't be found or didn't exist in any editions of the sutra requested by Sagaramati other than one, there are limited scriptures that we haven't seen, and there are definitely transmissions of other editions of the sutra requested by Sagaramati. Thus, if you mix a drop of water with the ocean, will not become exhausted until the ocean dries up. The difference between a dedication and an aspirational prayer, moreover, is its function of whether or not there is something being dedicated. When one identifies a thing to be dedicated and then prays on its basis, may there be such and such a result, this is both a dedication and an aspirational prayer. If without something to be dedicated, one thinks, in the future may I be thus, that is an aspirational prayer, but not a dedication. In general, for a dedication prayer, it is extremely important that you also request the holy beings such as your guru, Buddhists, and so forth to turn the wheel of Dharma and engage in extensive activities, just as they prayed to carry them out according to their bodhicitta generated in previous rebirths. Evil Mara is able to strike numerous living beings with disaster, which is the result of his former mistaken prayers. Further, when it comes to our virtues, they are like raw gold, while the dedication prayer is like using that gold to make ornaments and jewelry. Further, the dedication and prayer are like the reins and the bridle that guide the horse. Arya Shariputra became the foremost of the learned Shravakas of the teacher, which was the result of offering his knife and needle in the past when he was a tailor for the bhikshu's robes. He also had many other good qualities. A sutra states, quote, the concordant condition of all dharmas depends upon the strength of your aspiration. Whatever dedication prayers one makes will result in the attainment of just that, unquote. Day 9. The teachings of the great being Shantideva state, quote, depends upon this boat of a human life. You can be liberated from the great river of suffering. This boat will be difficult to acquire in a future life, so this is no time to sleep, you fool, unquote. We can be liberated from the great ocean of samsara and be guided to the island of liberation with such a boat. Although we have obtained this physical form, if we don't use it to be liberated from the ocean of samsara, such a life as this will be extremely difficult to acquire again in the future. Therefore, do not come under the influence of this life's affairs, but strive with all the determination you can to be able to travel to the blissful land of liberation. For that purpose, listen to these teachings on the stages of the path. Regarding the nature of dedication, the ornament of the Mahayana Sutras declares, quote, the dedication of the stable is an intention accompanied by aspiration, unquote. If the way of dedicating is expanded, there are 7 sections. If you entreat the field of merit and so forth to bear witness to your dedication, it has the great distinction of accomplishing your dedication prayers. With respect to the 6, prostration and so forth have their objects of dedication, such as the prostrations and so forth. With respect to the necessity of dedication, Shantivega's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life states, quote, I dedicate everything for the sake of enlightenment, for the welfare of living beings, unquote. A sutra also states, quote, the roots of virtue should be dedicated collectively for all living beings, unquote. When we dedicate for our own enlightenment, the roots of virtue become a cause for becoming a pratyeka Buddha. By dedicating them to complete enlightenment, the roots of virtue cannot be destroyed by anger, as explained earlier, and they will not be exhausted. Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life and Chandrakirti's Guide to the Middle Way also state that the roots of virtue from bodhicitta can be destroyed by anger. During the dedication, dedicate them by means of unobservable emptiness. A scripture states, quote, extraordinary through dedication is the supreme activity. It has a special aspect of unobservability. It has a sign of irreversibility, unquote. If you capture the roots of virtue from reciting even a single verse or one round of manis with noble dedications, they will not be exhausted until you attain the state of enlightenment. In the meantime, it is impossible to exhaust them through the happiness of gods and men. It would be excellent if you combine those dedications with meditation on the path. In short, whatever you dedicate, dedicate for unsurpassed complete enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings. The substance is your roots of virtue. A dedication with such an aspect blocks grasping at the true existence of the three circles of the dedication and must be embraced by method and wisdom. It would be difficult for us to replicate this with our slight wisdom. Therefore, if you make extremely powerful dedications with verses such as just as the hero Manjushri realizes the nature of things, this will suffice. For example, previously there was an old woman at the Jokam temple in Lhasa who made a very eloquent prayer. When no man heard her and said, although I don't understand the intention of what she said, I also make my dedication prayer in just the same way as the dear old woman. Dedications such as the path of noble deeds upon which the conquerors of the three have gone, and through this completely pure white virtue, are great binding prayers of dedication. If in addition to these you recognize the view about the unobservability of the three vehicles, it will be an excellent way to train yourself in the view. If you dedicate the roots of virtue as a contributing factor for the enlightened actions of the Buddhas and 10 directions to guide all living beings, they will also be inexhaustible. Although this functions to remain doubts about dedicating the roots of virtue of other living beings, I wonder whether the act of rejoicing in the roots of virtue of other living beings is also a dedication of virtue. There are three great dedications: either one, dedicate as a cause of attaining the resultant complete enlightenment; two, dedicate as a cause of comprehending the holy Dharma; or three, dedicate to be cared for by spiritual masters. The prayers of the Bodhisattvas and whatever merit are also prayers to comprehend the holy Dharma. There are countless hundreds of thousands of prayers of the Bodhisattvas that are included within prayers for comprehending the holy Dharma. Because both of these are dependent upon a guru, both of these kinds of prayers are indirect causes to be cared for by the guru. Moreover, so is the prayer, the unsurpassed teaching of the teacher. Although we have a great wave of virtuous roots, when it comes time to dedicate them, we dedicate for long lives, freedom from illness, collecting debts, winning lawsuits, and so forth. When we do this, we waste and squander our roots of virtue. Yet if we dedicate even the barely discernible roots of virtue from offering a single stick of incense along with the prayer the size of a mountain, although it may be small at the time, it will bear an enormous result. If mere portion of virtue had already been transformed by the supreme pairs of skillful means of the conqueror's sons, the inferior results would have swiftly become excellent, and it would never be exhausted. Whatever virtue exists in the three times should be transformed by a great wave of prayers. Since all wise beings engage in this, you too should engage in this skillful means. The first two great dedications are included in the verse that begins, do this completely pure white virtue. In the oral instructions of exhumation, each of the 7 limbs leaves an imprint. For example, prostrations accomplish the major mark of the Ushnisha, the Vajra body, and so forth. Offerings attain mastery of the sky treasure of enjoyments during enlightenment, and so forth. Accomplishing a definitive integration between your mind and the supplication. The 6th preliminary ritual is accomplishing a definitive integration between your mind and the supplication. The first Panchen Lama's path to bliss and the second Panchen Lama's swift path offer the mandala of supplication during the 5th ritual preliminary, and the 5th Dalai Lama's Manjushri's oral instructions offers it during the 6th. Although it is not taught as being concealed among the 3 great purposes conjoined with mantra within the preliminary rituals, it is clear within the new arrangement of the Lama-Chirpa ritual and so forth, which contains the 3 great purposes and the foundation of all good qualities. The latter is utilized in this ritual as a well-known request for powerful blessings. The 3 great purposes state outer and inner obstructions. The outer obstructions are things such as a king not acting in accordance with Dharma. Inner obstructions are when you have numerous illnesses and so forth. Circuit obstructions are not having a stable mind for practicing Dharma and so forth. They depend upon your not making supplications for your guru's blessings. Mocho Rinpoche stated, quote, "It is doubtful you will be liberated through rigorous practice. There is no doubt you will be liberated through faith and devotion, unquote. And Gyawa Gotsongpa stated, quote, there are many meditations on the generation stage, none of them surpasses meditating on the Guru, unquote. Tilopa 988 to 1069 proclaimed, Naropa, the foremost of all enhancement, is the Guru. Recite the supplication, I request you, my glorious and precious root Guru, make the supplication twice, during which a purifying descent of nectar and a duplicate of your Guru dissolve into you, while you simultaneously make supplication to the lineage of vast activities down to Atisha, purify obstructions to generate the vast stages of the path, and generate realizations of the vast stages of the path. While making supplications to the lineage of profound view down to Atisha, you thus purify obstruction to developing realizations of the profound stages of the path. In a similar way, through Atisha the Great, the vast and profound have been combined as one lineage, thus it is called the stages of the profound path. Therefore, they don't need to be separated, and you combine this portion of the request with purifying obstruction to generate realization of the stages of the path to enlightenment. The biographies of the Lamrim lineage gurus are in texts such as Opening the Door to the Supreme Path, which is like the root of the path. Practitioners of the Lamrim should definitely become acquainted with their biographies. According to Geshe, the last lines of each of the verses of the Path of Bliss and the Swift Path are recited twice. The field of merit is supplicated in this way as well. In the complete preliminary ritual, you perform scanning, meditation, and dependence upon the foundation of all good qualities. It is also permissible to leave this prayer aside when carrying out the visualizations of the Lamrim. When you get to the point of tranquil abiding and superior seeing, it would be the incorrect object to imagine purifying nectar and so forth, descending from the lineage of vast activities and so forth. Therefore, it should be the lineage of profound view. Regarding the cycle of secret mantra or Vajrayana, this should be carried out from the lineage of blessed practice. At this point, you can receive the blessings of the four empowerments and the four actions by combining it with the visualizations of mantra. I am not going to explain this, however, since many of you have not received the empowerment of mantra or tantra. It is a great binding factor of prayer to also recite, throughout all my lives may I never be separated from the Guru. While dissolving the field of merit into light, 5-colored light rays radiate from the heart of the principal deity and come into the presence of 3 lineages, the Gurus, and so forth. Their retinues melt into light and dissolve into the 4 principal figures. The deities on the lotus tiers dissolve into their lion thrones, which dissolve into the lion throne of the principal figure. Imagine that the wish-fulfilling tree disappears into emptiness. Evoke a clear image of the 5 remaining principal figures and their retinues. Finally, Maitreya and Manjushri dissolve into the right and left shoulders of Lama Losam Tuan Dorjecha. Continue until Vajradhara dissolves into his heart, so that Vajradhara dissolves in the same way you dissolve the exalted wisdom being, and he becomes inseparable with the Buddha. Regarding the Lama before you, regardless of whether or not he is living, you should not dissolve him into light, but dissolve him into the heart of the Buddha, as though absorbing butter into butter. Buddha also dissolves into your root guru on the crown of your head. The throne also dissolves into the principle. Making supplication to the Guru on the crown of your head while carrying out their meditations is the way of making Guru Yoga the life of the path. The Guru on your crown can be utilized as a single principal deity, appearing as Avalokiteshvara while practicing love, compassion, and so forth, as Manjushri during practice of the view of emptiness, and as the Guru deity in other meditations. Make a single final recitation to the Dharma, the stages of the path to enlightenment as well. It is of great importance to make supplications to planting the stake. Dzogchen Patra Rinpoche stated, what use is listening if you haven't retained even one of the 100 things you have heard? What use is contemplating when you need to make further requests, although you have already heard it? Do away with meditation that does not become the antidote to the afflictions. The Dharma, Guru, and personal deities are not like provisions of salt and flour. If we view them in this way, there will never come a time when we cross the threshold of the path. If we have reached complete certainty about whether practices we undertake, such as accomplishing the Dharma and so forth, even the state of enlightenment will most certainly not be a long way off. Like striking a purba in one spot, you should make supplication to the Guru along with verses such as the request from the Lama Chirpa ritual that states, you are the Guru, you are the Yidam, you are the Dhaka and the Dharma protector. While imagining him to be the sole embodiment of all objects of refuge, such as the gurus, personal deities, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Dharma protectors, and so forth. While meditating on the actual stages of the path, you should make the request correspond with that section and make the changes in recitation as explained above. According to the path of bliss and the swift path, at the conclusion of the request to the guru, as the embodiment of all objects of refuge, you should transform them yourself, all living beings, and so forth, into the Buddha and his surrounding pure land. Otherwise, the conclusions of the various preliminary practices are the same, the actual practice. At this point, the outlines of Je Tsongkhapa's middle-length treatise on the stages of the path state. The actual practice is two sections. One, how to carry out the meditation in general. Two, how to carry them out at this point in particular. How to carry out the meditation in general has three sections. One, identifying meditation. Two, the faults of improper meditation. Three, how to carry out proper meditation. Many of the previous Tibetans asserted that placement meditation is the only type of meditation and that all types of conceptions and analysis are grasping at signs of inherent existence, and they therefore did not assert analytical meditation as meditation. Rinpoche Tsongkhapa stated that in general, there are two types of meditation, analytical and placement. In particular, without analytical meditation, you won't be able to develop even the slightest realization of proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, which illustrates the great importance of analytical meditation and grants stark recognition of these two types of meditation. During a certain period of time, other than Je Tsongkhapa, most Tibetan Lamas didn't understand that analytical meditation is meditation. Therefore, you should meditate with both analytical and placement meditation by ascertaining the classifications and the proper order of the dharma as your object of meditation. For example, if you are not certain about the quantities when it comes to making a full pot of tea, and if as a result you don't use enough salt, then you will incur the fault of depreciation. Whereas if you use too much soda, you will incur the fault of excess and you will become bloated. Just as the tea won't be delicious if you confuse the proper order and mistake its preparation, in the same way, if you don't meditate on the Lamrim and instead meditate on the channels, winds, and so forth, there is a risk of going to the Vajra hells. Whereas if you begin by meditating on proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, you will reach a state of Vajradhara. How to carry out proper meditation. In a similar way to the first training and path as the route for proper reliance upon the spiritual guide for contemplating the benefits and the outlines by utilizing scriptures, reasoning, examples, and logical arguments. Once you have a proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, apply the same process to subjects such as wasting your leisure and proper human endowment. While training faith as the root, you should not mix it up with things such as recalling his or her kindness with mindfulness. If you're mentally uncertain because you merely neglected the first portion of the Lamrim, you won't understand the following meditation topics, like needing tsampa, salt, and butter when making some food to eat. If you leave out even one section of the Lamrim, you will not understand the path. When this happens, you won't be able to understand how to meditate on the stage of the path by merely reading the text. This is why analytical meditation is more important than placement meditation. You definitely need analytical meditation for renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness as well. Many are deceived at this time of need by those whose knowledge remains solely in the text, those who don't practice secret mantra or tantra, and those who teach while being absent-minded. And even one word makes it into your mind that much is sufficient for meditation. Yet if the mind is uncertain, you will not be able to access it when you need it. Therefore, it will not yield great benefit. Although there are 6 sections during an elaborate explanation, when it comes time to meditate, there are 4. Rely upon the spiritual guide has 4 sections. 1, the benefits of reliance upon the spiritual guide. 2, the faults of not relying and the faults of improper reliance. 3, how to rely in thought. 4, how to rely in action. Or similar to the outlines for a practical commentary on the Lamrim in the smaller text. Furthermore, the root of whether or not all the excellent accumulations emerge, such as generating realizations of the grounds and paths of all sutras and tantras and so forth, depends upon how perfect your way of training in faith as the root is. From the outset of that training, you must understand the benefits of relying upon the guru and the faults of not relying upon him or her or having a falter way of reliance. There are 8 benefits of reliance. Benefits of relying properly upon the spiritual guide has 8 sections. 1, you will come close to the state of enlightenment. 2, you will delight in the conquerors. 3, will not be harmed by demons and bad companions. 4, all your afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior will naturally cease. 5, all your realizations of the grounds and paths will continually increase. 6, you will not be deprived of spiritual guides in all your lives. 7, you will not fall into the lower realms. 8, you will accomplish all temporary and ultimate aims. You come close to the state of enlightenment has 2 sections. By practicing the instructions taught to you by your guru, you will come closer to the state of enlightenment. 2, by worshiping and respectfully honoring your guru, you will come closer to the state of enlightenment.
Geshe Gelek is here.
Yeah, please have a seat. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good evening.
Geshe.
Welcome back to class. And how many pages you read?
19 pages, Geshe.
Which day? Day 7?
Day 9.
Day 9. Only start the day 9? Amula, can you hear?
Yes, Geshe, we started day 9.
Oh, day 9. Oh. Oh, yeah. So, any questions?
Yes, Geshe.
Oh, no. Yeah.
There's a question. The teachings really emphasize the value of dedication. What happens when someone tries to live each day compassionately and according to Dharma, but does not remember to dedicate? Is all that merit lost?
Oh, kind of. Mhm. Hello, Ryan. Good to see you.
Hey, good to
Finally,
see
you found the link.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah. So here, I don't think the marriage is lost if you don't dedicate, but there's risk. If you don't dedicate the marriage, there's risk that when you get angry, so that your anger may destroy the amount of marriage that you created. That's the very reason that you dedicated the marriage. If you don't dedicate the marriage, so there's the risk. Otherwise, if you don't dedicate, doesn't mean you are going to lose the marriage. So then, of course, like dedicating the marriage with some kind of understanding of shunyata or emptiness, or sealing your marriage with the knowledge of shunyata or emptiness. So that will kind of secure the marriage. Even though you get angry, more likely your marriage is not going to get completely destroyed. So then dedicating marriage for your own future enlightenment, so that means you are going to have access to that marriage till you reach enlightenment. If you dedicate this marriage for just to have better health, longer life, more like wealth, so then, so not necessarily you may get the result in this life, you may get the result in some other form of life. You may not be the human beings. You could be like dogs, they end up with millions of dollars. So, so then that's hard to hard to enjoy the money because you have no idea because you are just dog, So, yeah, so so dedicating the marriage for your own future enlightenment, that's the probably best, and with dedicating with some knowledge of Oshunyata or emptiness. Okay? Today, what else?
No other questions, Geshe?
Oh, that's good. That means you understood the text well. Not beer, it's water, just water. Then, so, Lamla, you start day 9, you already started?
Yes, Geshe, I already started it.
No, very good.
About halfway.
Halfway?
About halfway.
Yeah, then please continue. So if there are no questions.
So we're continuing on page 170. The title, By Practicing the Instructions Taught to You by Your Guru, you will come closer to the state of enlightenment. The enlightenment that would otherwise take 3 countless great eons to accomplish is bestowed in one short human life. Vajra holder, my jewel-like Guru, through whose kindness I am filled with a state of great bliss in an instant, at your lotus feet I bow. From the point of view of the gods above to the hell beings below, one human life is like an instant. This meaning is also contained in Lama Chirpa when it states, I prostrate to the lotus feet of my jewel-like Guru, the Vajra holder, whose compassion can bestow in an instant even the supreme state of the 3 bodies in the sphere of great bliss. The essence of nectar, stages of the path, states, the great unification, extremely difficult to obtain, even through practicing with 100-fold effort over an ocean of countless eons, can easily be accomplished in one short life in this degenerate age in dependence upon the Guru's power. J. Milarepa also stated enlightenment in one life through properly relying upon his spiritual guide, Marpa. He endured hardships, such as building a square 9-story tower. And the primary practice of those such as the Mahasiddhis of India, though they relied upon the unmistaken path of mantra or tantra to attain enlightenment, was proper reliance upon the spiritual guide. Not only tantra, but according to the ornament of the Mahayana Sutras, perfection with vehicle takes 2 countless eons to attain, and in the great commentary to the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, in 8,000 lines, you must accumulate merit for 24 countless eons. The Bodhisattva Sadat Prarudita progressed from the path of accumulation to the 8th Bodhisattva ground in the span of one life through his perfect reliance upon his Guru Dharmagata. Despite having direct visions of many Tathagatas.
Yes, God. Once again, so here, like, what is the title of the text? Please. So make sure that, what is the title of the text?
The Great Commentary to the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 lines.
Oh, that's the text, Ryan, we've been studying now. How many weeks?
Oh, that's the essence of the vast and profound.
Yeah, the text, veggie text that we are studying. What's the title of the text?
The essence of the vast and profound.
Yeah. So like many weeks now. So. So when you hear the word countless, countless eons, please don't get discouraged. So the fundamental question is like, first of all, there's a couple of things. First, do you believe? Not believe like I say. Yeah, are you convinced? Are you convinced that nature of your mind is like stainless, pure? The first thing. Or do you have a doubt? There's many questions. Do you have a doubt? Or maybe my nature of mind is not stainless. It's like, that's what is called like primordial mind. Primordial mind. So minute that we take rebirth in the mother's womb, the first very first moment of consciousness, that was called primordial consciousness. Nature of that primordial consciousness is pure. It's here. It's not somewhere outside. It's here, located between this white drop and the red drop. The white drop that you receive from father, the red drop you receive from your mother. So between that, the primordial, the consciousness, that's what's called primordial consciousness. Then that is the subtlest consciousness that we have. Unfortunately, at the moment, in my case, I'm not sure about you, in my case, I don't have access to that consciousness. They say if you faint, if you yawn, so there are like you are accessing that primordial consciousness, but without understanding. Without understanding, you have access. There's a number of occasions before we, in time of death, everybody have access to that consciousness, but not much benefit unless you gain access to that consciousness through meditations, through series of meditations. So then maybe time of death, when you actually having access to that consciousness, then you may utilize that subtle consciousness, then probably like there's good possibilities that one could liberate. So that subtle consciousness, then the very energy they write on that, the very energy, the subtle consciousness right on, that's called subtle body. Body. The gross, subtle, very subtle. These are the very subtle consciousness and very subtle body. The energy that very subtle consciousness right on, that's called subtle body, very subtle body. So then movement of that in and out, kind of in and out movement of that energy is considered as a subtle speech, according to Vajrayana teachings. So these are the most subtlest body, speech, and mind. That mind, primary mind, is according to Buddhist philosophy or Buddha's teaching, particularly according to Buddha's Vajrayana teaching, that consciousness is pure, stainless. That one goes to next life. All the gross consciousness cease. So no longer able to see, no longer able to remember the names, then it happens, and sequentially it happens. No longer identify who that person is. First, don't remember the name. The second, then probably don't understand who that person is. So then eventually, all the gross consciousness sees like gross, like, oh, this is that, this is this, white, this is red, all the kind of gross consciousness sees. So then eventually, only consciousness that left is very subtle consciousness. That subtle consciousness moves on to next life. Eye consciousness doesn't go to next life, it all sees. All the memory will be ceased. Memory will not go to next life. All the cease. So the first question is that true what Buddha said in his teaching? Sutayana, not much in the Sutayana teaching, then particularly in the Vajrayana teachings, talks a lot about the primordial consciousness. Nature of that is stainless, pure. So now the question, then why all this, jealousy, anger, attachment, all of that? They are there temporarily, like cloud on the sky. You cannot say the cloud in the sky is inseparable. If it's inseparable, then you are never going to see sky without cloud. So they are there temporarily. So now the question is, can I be free from anger? If the anger is inseparable with your consciousness, then there's no, you can be free from anger. So that's how you, philosophically, that's how you think. Like, is this possible? Is this possible that I could be liberated from, completely liberated from anger? Is it possible? So now the question boils down, yeah, so you do get angry, but do you get angry all the time? Probably not. I used to get angry quite often. So now I've been reading, thinking, maybe like going to anger management programs. So slow, so then you learn. So now you are more like, it takes much more you to get angry, but you used to get angry so quick. Now it takes much more. So that means you are controlling your anger. So if that is possible, so then if you can control 1 minute, maybe logically it doesn't make sense. Why not you could control 2 minutes? So there's the logic behind that liberation is possible, enlightenment is possible, even though it talks about eons and eons, doesn't matter, it's still possible. So that's how the first question, will I ever enlighten? The question goes back to the primordial consciousness. If you think, oh, I'm just naturally just bad, I'm just bad, I'm just naturally. So then there's ignorance. There's pure ignorance. Thinking that you cannot change, thinking that you cannot improve, that's pure ignorance. There's no valid base to support that idea. It's just idea you got from your culture, tradition. People get this idea from so many different reasons, or maybe like some as a wrong theory somebody wrote, or like some believing some theory that somebody wrote, and that you follow that theory or ideology. So then you believe, no matter what you do, you are naturally, you are innately, you are just negative. So then it's ignorance. So then you just stuck with that and never analyze. So then, of course, then you doubt. So maybe I cannot get enlightenment. Something like that. So don't want you to get discouraged when you see what eons and eons. As I said, it's not about how fast will I achieve enlightenment. It's about, is it possible? Is it possible? If it's possible, so then it doesn't matter how long it takes. You still, so walk on that path. It's not about how fast you will finish the path. It's about whether you are in the path or not. That's the important. Okay. Just want to share. So that's what Buddha said. At the same time, Buddha give us full freedom to analyze. You don't have to believe, but you must analyze. You must use the marvelous brain. You must analyze. So that's Buddha, like Gelek Takam Kenam Seje Dave session to Lebatala like Lavache. Buddha requested all his followers, don't accept out of faith, better to analyze. Oh, so Buddha give us full freedom, analyze, we can analyze. Oh, okay, so am I innately bad, or if I still have chance to become enlightened, or need to analyze, okay? Then, yeah, Lamala continues.
Geshe, if it's okay, Lamalaz asked if I could read for a while.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're on the bottom of page 171. The Bodhisattva Sadaparadita progressed from the path of accumulation to the eighth Bodhisattva ground in the span of one life through his perfect reliance upon his guru, Dharmadgata. Despite having direct visions of many Tathagatas, he realized that it was also extremely important to meet and establish a karmic connection with the Lama. Therefore, he still wasn't satisfied and went in search of Dharmadgata and attained the acceptance that dharmas are unproduced. He came close to surpassing the swiftness that even Tantra provides without any regard for his body or life, so that he could engage in proper reliance upon his spiritual guide. Protector Nagarjuna stated, quote, if someone were to fall from the peak of a great mountain, although he might think he will not fall, he would still fall. If you obtain beneficial transmission from the kind guru, although you may think you will not be liberated, you will still become liberated, end quote.
Many words, sometimes you say teacher, sometimes you say mentor, sometimes you say guru, that's Sanskrit word. Tibetan you say Lama, basically every knowledge, any field of learning, you have to have teacher. Without teacher, you can't learn. So then some of them, not just intellectual knowledge, that also require experience. The teacher experience, teacher is like, is a experience, like say, if you want to learn carpentry work, well, you can go to school, they probably teach you how to do carpentry work, but it's just, you just probably take note, but never touch carpentry, never touch wood, but you can still learning how to make tables and how to use this equipments. The very person who's teaching you, if that person knows how to do carpentry work, if that person is like very experienced carpenter, so probably you will learn better. So same thing, any knowledge require somebody to teach you. That's you could call mentor or a teacher, guru or lama. So the same thing in the spiritual path, Lamrim path, the spiritual path, Vajrayana teaching, you also need teacher. You still need teacher. You can't just read, because some of you, if you read same like guidebook, somebody probably like traveled throughout the world, wrote a guidebook, you can still read. But some of the experience that very author is wrote that guidebook, so you may not get that experience. That experience is very critical in order to gain meditative experience. It's very important to rely on someone who already had meditative experience, so maybe has much more to offer. So in that case, according to Buddhism, so the relationship between the teacher and the student is critical in order to student to gain meditative experience. So that relationship, is quite critical in that part. So that's what it's talking about, guru or lama.
The Mahasiddha Padampa Sangye stated, when led by the guru, you can reach any place you desire. The guide's wages are offered in faith and devotion, people of Dingri. When a fully qualified guru and a student who is a worthy vessel meet, it is said to be as though it were sculpted by the hands of the Buddha. If you can conduct yourself in that way, you will quickly become enlightened, just like Gyawa and Sapa and others, as taught in the biographies of the Lamrim lineage gurus.
Gyawa and Sapa is one of the Lama Tsongkhapa main disciples. According to one of the Nyingma masters, he's quoted that 120 disciples of Lama Tsongkhapa managed to achieve fully enlightenment in this lifetime. 120 of them managed to achieve fully enlightenment in this life. So Gyawa and Sapa is one of them, very important one of them. So of course, sometimes you hear this Vyasa lineage, the lineage, orally transmitted lineage, coming from Lama Tsongkhapa to Gyawa Vyasa. So that's called Vyasa lineage. And then,
by worshiping and respectfully honoring your guru, you will come closer to the state of enlightenment. Therefore, because
especially in this kind of sorry, Chugula, this particularly in the West, people may not understand the importance of guru devotions because I don't blame them because there are what do you call cult, happen number of times. Therefore, Lamrim teaching is very much clear right from the beginning. You need to understand what kind of qualifications the person needs to possess before you accept him or her as your guru, what kind of a qualification that person needs to be possessed. So you study those qualities. So there you have some ground to analyze before you accept him or her as your teacher or guru, particularly Vajra master. So see, here in the West, initiation has been taken very easily. Also giving initiation, you have no clue, you just go there, receive, and you have no idea what you're getting into. Because so your friend say, okay, it's a wonderful thing to do. You have no clue, you just go there. So that's not how it's been done traditionally. So then finds out after there's a lot of commitment here, there, not able to keep them, so then it's not good. So, yeah, you don't have to know. The teacher and the student relationship should not be like throwing a piece of meat in front of the dog. Dog will eat that without thinking. If you accept someone as your teachers like that, no good. No good. You need to analyze. Even though it takes 12 years to analyze, there's nothing wrong. You can take your time. Why? Because student and teacher relationship is critical part of the Lamrim path. That's why even though it takes 12 years you to analyze, it's 100% okay to take your time. Then once you accept him or her as your teacher deliberately, voluntarily, so then next thing is now the relationship, how to relate, that's important. So, and therefore, in order to prevent the teacher leading students into the wrong path blindly. So this thing will not happen because you analyze, this thing will not happen because you see the qualities that mentioned very clearly in Lamrim teachings. You understood those qualities, you see those qualities, you took your time and you see those qualities and you accept that person your teacher. So, so that's why I'm saying in the West probably is not, it's not, the monastery we have no problem. That does not mean that we practice guru devotion perfectly well. No, not true. not true. You still have challenge. You still have challenge because we are not enlightened. So if we practice Guru devotion like Milarepa, so then, there's possibilities that you could achieve, like enlightenment within this very short lifetime. But in my case, I'm even not close to Milarepa's Guru devotions. My Guru devotion is not the worst one, but not the best one. Not the worst one, but not the best. But so in order to prevent, so it's very important to you to study. There's 10 qualifications the person qualified to become teachers. There's 10 of them. Not that difficult to understand. It's easy to understand. Just read them and based on that knowledge, analyze. Okay, it's quite important. It's not like, oh, I like that person. That's not good enough. So that's not one of the liking someone. That's not one of the qualities of guru. The guru. That's much more complex than that. So one day you like that person, second day, the next day you don't like that person. It's not even like among one of the qualities. That's not one of them. So then, yeah, so it's important. Just want to share. Please continue, Chugila.
Therefore, because a single hair pour of the master is superior to merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have perceived that you should make offerings to the master. That meaning is expressed in Lama Chippa to all the conquerors in the 3 times and 10 directions. The roots of virtue.
Chugila, 1 second. This is all based on your knowledge, the knowledge that you gain reading, for example, Lamrim teaching, reading. It's not forcing on someone. No. This is all done based on analysis, knowledge. It's not like somebody forcing you to accept him or her as your teacher. Generally speaking, it's how it's been done. It's not how it's been done. That's what I can say. This is not how it's been done. You don't force someone to accept you as their teacher. No, you don't. You never force. In Buddhism, you don't preach. You don't force anybody into anything. So it's all done on knowledge and analysis. That's how it has been done. So yeah, this is all like voluntary based. Okay, it's not like force. Somebody forcing something, then there may be something wrong. So something wrong. If somebody say, "Oh, I'm so on so forth," and I did then bragging so much about that. That's why you need to analyze. You need to analyze. You can't just fool by somebody says something. You need to analyze. In order to analyze, we have to have some foundation to analyze. We have to have some kind of base for your analysis. You can't just analyze if you have no what to analyze. Okay. Oh yeah. Yes, moving on.
Donna has a question, but she's having trouble unmuting her mic.
Thank you,
Okay.
Tequila. My mouse was going all over the place. There's a new question, Geshe. The question is, would it be possible to have an example of dedication with emptiness, requesting the merit to ripen in the future and to meet qualified teachers?
What?
The question is, would it be possible to have an example of dedication with emptiness, requesting the merit to ripen in the future and to meet qualified teachers?
So dedication with knowledge of emptiness is first you say, I don't exist. Whom I dedicating not exist. Is this sounds correct, Chugila? That's good. It's not simple as that. It's not simple as that. Just joking. Person who is creating merit. Now, how to use knowledge of emptiness when you dedicate the merit? First, the very person who is about to dedicate that person's, when you're trying to find, you can't really pinpoint. There's really nothing to pinpoint. The very merit that you're trying to find, you can't really pinpoint. Whom you are dedicating, of course, for enlightenment, when you're trying to analyze, when you're trying to pinpoint, you can pinpoint. So then with that knowledge, then powered by bodhicitta, then you dedicate it, merit for your future enlightenment. So that include that merit, when you dedicate your merit to future enlightenment, that included qualified Dharma teachers all included in that merit. You can get enlightened if you don't meet qualified Dharma teachers. So that dedications, qualified teachers all included that. So there are specific stanza that you can say. So that kind of like create the course to meet, make sure create the course to meet perfectly qualified teacher like Arya Nagarjuna and Arya Asanga in the future. What do you call like absence of inherent three circle. That's what actually called when it comes down on dedicating merit with the knowledge of shunyata. It's called like absence of inherent independent of three circles. The first circle refers to the person, very person. Second circle refers to the merit that you have created or you're creating now, you're going to create in the future. The third circle refers to like could be liberation, could be fully enlightenment, kursum mimikpa. So you're trying to see so right now, when you try to analyze yourself, you could say, who's Ryan? Now pinpoint, who's Ryan? Am I my hair? What will be your answer? Am I my skin? Am I my eyebrow? Am I my nose? Am I my mouth? You go through every physical part of your body, inside out. What do you find? You cannot find Ryan. Does that mean Ryan don't exist? Yeah, Ryan do exist. But then you can't find. Ryan's own idea of other people, when they say Ryan, that you have certain ideas, how Ryan looks like, how he talks, or like all that. So that's like a lot of them is like how is related to your perception of Ryan, your perception of Ryan's, may not be the ultimate, how is maybe just conventional. Convention is not ultimate. So that's how you meditate on shunyata, trying to define, do I exist? Yes. Am I, so then the first question, do I exist? Yes, that's correct answer. Yes, you do exist. How do I exist? Now it becomes more subtle. Then who am I? More complicated questions. So then you go to all the physical part of your body and your oxygen space inside the body. You go each and every one of them, Did you find yourself? No. Does that mean you disappear? No. So then the end, you are not going to find even like atom size of Ryan, you are not going to find. There's nothing to pinpoint. That's not our idea of Ryan. That's not our idea of Ryan. Our idea of Ryan is something solid, something very solid. You know? So now that solid is kind of like dissolving. When it dissolves, then you lose the idea of Ryan. When you have idea of Ryan, then you don't have this absence of that. So see, when you focus absence of something, we lose the idea of things. When we have the idea of things, we lose the idea of the absence of that, you know. So then, till then, it's getting kind of complicated. So then eventually, throughout your meditations, minute you think about absence of Ryan, you get this crystal clear idea of Ryan. Oh, so then you figure it out now. You figure it out. That's how you say in America, you figure it out. Now you figure it out who you are. Till then, probably you have no idea from who you are. So then you figure it out. Now finally you figure it out. So now when you think about absence, when you go through every part of your body, you cannot find, when you cannot find anything, idea of Ryan is very much visible. Same time, absence of that is very visible. So that means, Chukila, you understand the nang tong? How you say in English, nang tong?
I'm sorry, Geshe, I don't know.
Now means see, you see. Then you probably lose that idea. When you analyze part by part, you lose that idea of solid. You lose the idea of solid, very iPhone there you're holding. It's very physical iPhone you're holding. You went through every part, then you lose this idea of solid. You could not find that solid iPhone in any part. So you lose that idea. Oh, that's normal for everybody. We meditate. So now you go through this every part of the iPhone, you lose that solid part, you don't lose the idea of cell phone. It's the cell phone idea of the cell phone is very crystal clear. So merely level, not absolute, merely level. So I'm not sure the good example. Maybe I'm not going to find a good example. So move on. If I'm not going to find a good example, moving on. Yeah, Lamula, please. Chukila.
Geshe, there's another question.
Yeah.
If you have highest yoga tantra from your lama, can you read an explanation of tantra by a fully qualified person, such as a Khyentse Rinpoche from another monastery, who is not your lama?
If you receive highest yoga tantra initiations,
If you have received highest yoga tantra from your lama, can you read an explanation of tantra by a fully qualified person?
Yeah, sure.
From another monastery. Okay.
There's no problem. You can read. Doesn't have to be something that wrote by very lama that you receive initiation. No, you can read. You can read many texts that are composed by many different lamas. So doesn't have to be lama that you receive initiation. No. Moving on, Chugila.
On the top of page 173, the roots of virtue from worshiping the guru for merely one morning overpower the merit from worshiping 1,000 Buddhas. With respect to the phrase hairpore of the guru, this refers to his horse and so forth, as well as pet dog and so forth, and is saying that you should worship things like that on up. If you worship something such as your guru's pet dog, the benefits are far greater even than worshiping all the Buddhas in the 10 directions. Once, when Geshe Tolungpa understood that his own guru, Geshe Chengawa, was residing in the Pempolo monastery, he said, I get much greater benefit from giving food to Lopa's dog than from inviting the monks of Tolung for a Dharma festival, and acted accordingly. Moreover, among the recipients of the offerings, the Pratyeka Buddhas are superior to the Shravakas, the Bodhisattvas are superior to them, the Buddhas are superior to them, and
That
offering.
is like if you understand what is Guru devotion is all about, if you truly understand what is Guru devotion is all about, how important it is to your own path, once you understand that, so then those things, it's like, it's not for everybody, those things, so that you have to understand. Marba asked Milarepa to build this 9-story building a couple of times, not just one time. You're going through physical hardship. So that kind of unshakable devotions towards Lama, so that like someone who has that kind of devotion for that person's, taking care of Lama's dog is far more important than feeding like hundreds of people. That makes sense. Generally speaking, it's hard to apprehend, hard to get our head round. How is it? Hard to get our head round. So there's not like, there's like someone who understands importance of Guru devotions. So then, please move on.
And offering to one hairpore of the guru is said to be superior to them. Protector Nagarjuna's 5 stages states, you should completely forsake all other offerings and commence with perfect offerings to the guru. By pleasing him, you will obtain the supreme exalted wisdom of omniscience. Sepan proclaimed, the merit accumulated by giving away your head, limbs, and possessions through the means of the perfection vehicle for 1,000 eons can be accumulated in a single instant through this path of the guru. Oh my, you must honor him with joyous reflection.
Students with that kind of devotion like Milarepa, so the meeting qualified Lama like Marba, there's possibility that you could get enlightened within this very lifetime. So that has to be, both has to be almost perfect. It is possible, but it's rare. It's very rare, but it's possible.
When presenting offerings to all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, although there is the benefit of presenting the offering, it is not certain that you will also obtain the benefit of the Buddhas accepting it. If you present offerings to your gurus, such as your personal teacher and so forth, the conquerors will spontaneously enter into his or her heart and joyously accept the offerings, whereby you obtain both benefits. You will delight the conquerors. For example, if a monastery's representative conducts himself well, the monks will naturally be delighted. Likewise, the Buddha emanates as the guru, who then works for the welfare of disciples. Once we understand this fact and honor the guru properly, the Buddhas naturally enter his or her heart with joy. The essence of nectar stages of the path states, when a disciple relies properly upon his guru, the conquerors are invoked into the body of the guru. They remain joyful and accept all the collection of offerings and also bless the mental continuum of that disciple. This is also the final intention of the Tantras and Mahasiddhas. The 5th Dalai Lama's Manjushri's oral instructions states, for the few endowed with this meaning, I will abide in his body and accept the offerings of other practitioners. This will delight my mental continuum and purify their karmic obstructions. This comes down to the same essential point. Therefore, this is stating that when a disciple makes offerings to his or her guru, Vajradhara also delightfully enters into the body of the guru and, remaining there, accepts the offerings. There is no activity superior to correctly engaging in proper reliance upon your guru as a means of delighting the conqueror. The essence of nectar stages of the path proclaims, when disciples undertake proper reliance upon the holy spiritual guides, like a mother seeing her child accomplish something beneficial, all the conquerors become delighted from the depths of their hearts and state, This one will quickly be liberated from samsara. You will not be harmed by demons and bad companions. You will obtain great merit through your excellent reliance upon your spiritual guide, and through that acquisition and so forth, you will also be invulnerable to obstacles. Bad companions will also be unable to harm you. A sutra states, it is difficult for karma and afflictive emotions to get the best of bodhisattvas who are thoroughly cared for by their spiritual guides. As this states, it will be difficult for karma and afflictive emotions to overcome you. The Essence of Nectar Stages of the Path also states, at that time all the Buddhas bless him, and through the force of entering the crown of the faithful-minded, he will not be harmed by demons, afflictive emotions, and so forth. All your afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior will naturally cease. The Essence of Nectar continues, if you always serve him through constant devotion, afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior will naturally cease. If you rely perfectly upon your spiritual guide, you will know to adopt virtue and forsake non-virtue. Your afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior will naturally cease. Therefore, you will not be harmed by afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior. For example, the afflictive emotions and unwholesome behavior of those who remain in the physical presence of their guru and in close contact with abbots and good teachers will naturally cease. The primary reason is that through proper reliance upon the spiritual guide, you listen to the stages of the path to enlightenment, whereby you come to recognize afflictive emotions and unwholesome actions, which then naturally cease.
This is all talking about meditations. Yeah, so mind that needs to be watched all the time, There's always risk, always risk. There's always risk to get jealous, to get attached, to get angry. There's always risk if we are not being mindful. There's always risk. That's what I'm saying. There's always risk. When you meditate, so you are trying to be mindful before you speak, then precisely calculating what is the best for everybody, including myself. Patience is the best for everybody, not anger. You may think anger may accomplish something. You may express anger. There's ignorance. There's ignorance. In the past, in the history, nobody has been happier expressing anger. Nobody. Now, same thing. Future, same thing. So, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge because we have ego. Tell us all the time what to do, no, not the wisdom, the ego, not bodhicitta, not compassion, not loving kindness. The ego is the one telling you what to do, how to respond. So, yeah, there's every single day there's a risk that you may get jealous, you may get angry, you may judge someone. There's always risk. So that risk will be minimized if you meditate every day, if you're trying to be mindful, meditating on importance of patience, importance of compassion, importance of loving kindness, based on every single person, including your girlfriend, boyfriend, your wife, your husband, your family member, everybody. Every single second looking for happiness. Never ever forget that. Never ever forget it. No matter what kind of circumstance you are in, your friend in, every single second they are looking for something good. So now based on that, precisely calculate what kind of mind I should generate, what kind of action I should, manifest, Nobody argues about loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, nobody. Everybody likes to be loved. Everybody likes to be cared. Everybody likes to be respected. If you do that, you get maximum benefits. And meanwhile, your negative emotion, negative mind, your disturbing thought will die down. Then hopefully, eventually, you just end up with a positive mindset and you just see pure. You don't see any negative at all. You just see goodness. Can you imagine that? Then all this criticism, like saying something, your hair doesn't look good. For you, it's like echo. It doesn't have any substance. It doesn't have any substance. It doesn't have any substance. It's just an echo. It doesn't have any substance because you are not focusing on that. You are focusing on something positive. You have been focusing on something positive every single day. So now these are all the echoes. Doesn't have substance. There's no difference between somebody saying pizza and your hair doesn't look good, or saying pizza. There's no difference. Same thing. Yeah. So that's what it means, like meditations, being mindful. Why? Every single day there's great risk throughout the day. There's a lot of your happiness, how you say, your happiness in the state, how you say, Shivila? Your happiness in the state, not the state that you barbecue. How you say in English?
I'm sorry, Geshe, I'm not following.
You're trying to say your happiness is at stake?
Yeah, stake.
Thank you, Ryan.
Huh?
Your happiness is at stake.
Oh yeah.
Like STAKE, not like steak barbecue.
You understand? Oh, every single day, your happiness in stake. Stake?
Is at stake.
Huh?
Is at stake.
Is at stake.
Yeah, is at stake, yeah.
Because there's risk every single day. Unbelievable. Every single day. Your mind can disturb so easily. There's little things. Unbelievable. That then sensitive mind is like 100% supported by ego. Ego. Only thinking about you. That ego is, that kind of sensitive mind is like 100% supported by ego. Is just focusing on you. There's nothing for others, nothing. Oh, that's not how you survive. No. You have to have compassion. You have to have compassion. You can't survive. You cannot survive. I mean, happily, you cannot survive. There's nothing for others. There's zero for others. How you can survive happily? No, impossible. Impossible. So much focus on like little things, little things, completely forgetting the fundamental things. Fundamental, every single person is looking for happiness. Do you remember that? Do I remember that? Don't become obstacle for that. It's not going to be a happy one. Don't become obstacle for that. The best to become part of their happiness. That's the best thing to do. For your own sake of happiness, that's the best thing to do. Best thing. Otherwise, every single day, your happiness as a stake.
Is at stake.
Yeah, is a stake. So need to learn. So far, we need to do one mala, so then maybe I can say it correctly. Well, that's very important to all my friends. So that's what they're talking about. Like eventually, the negative mind. This is the whole purpose of whole meditation, creating meditation. All of that is to eliminate, completely eliminate the disturbing thought. You don't need any of them. If your looking for happier life, you don't need any disturbing thought. That's the best. That's the best. Okay, so now time is over. So thank you for all of you coming in. So anybody who's watching on YouTube, so thank you very much. So then Amula will do short dedication, though we'll in the class. Okay. Good night.
Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may we quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones as gone over 3 times, so we might perform good works. We dedicate whatever virtues we have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Now the long life prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chen Reizu Chensen Gatso, please remain until samsara ends. For Sarah J. Kinzer Geshe, Jetsun Losandala. The mastered his speech at a very young age. The one with great patience, who received the name Awatare. The one with great precision, who spread the teachings of Lama Tsokapa and Bliss and Void, Lama ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. You uphold the subdual's moral way, who service the bountiful bear of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Majjhima's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the 3 jewels, savored myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. And of course, for the long, healthy, happy lives of Geshe Gelek and Geshe San. Om Tare Tu Re So. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
Oh, thank you very much. So have a wonderful night. Ryan, please text me how to say. Please text me your happiness in state. Text me, so I can learn. I have to learn. Okay. Thank you. Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay,
Bye.
yeah.